What is up, guys? So we finally got the translations for Record of Ragnarok chapter 78, and honestly this is one of my favorite chapters in a really long time. This is obviously going to be kicking off the start of round number 9 if you didn't know already, and it is going to be between King Leonidas and Apollo. So very unexpected matchup. I don't think many people would have predicted this, although in hindsight it does seem pretty logical because the Spartans worship the Greek gods, so they have a direct connection there, and that's going to play out throughout this fight. Although I still did believe we were going to get Simo versus Apollo because Apollo's the archer and Simo's the sniper. I thought it would make sense. But you know what? As this is marinated for a little bit, I'm really liking this, and I really enjoyed this chapter. So the chapter starts off with us seeing a shot of Apollo's island in the sky. He's got his own private island in the sky, which makes sense. You know, I mean, these gods are like the richest of the rich, and he has this beautiful palace with gardens and fountains and all these different perfectly placed arch structures. And as they're walking up, it's Ares, Hermes, and Zeus, so the two brothers of Apollo and his dad, obviously. And Ares is like super depressed. He's like kind of freaking out because he does not like Apollo at all. And he's like 4 losses, 4 wins, and our next fighter is this guy. Of course we have to rely on him. The reason he doesn't like him, I guess, is because he's just a narcissistic pretty boy. And he goes as far to say he hates him. But Zeus is like, yeah, it's true, he's a hard one to grasp. And he's not serious all the time, but he is strong. So Apollo got a statement from Zeus himself that he is strong, so we're gonna have to see. And the 3 walk up, and this man Apollo is having a good old time, bro. He is chilling in his personal hot spring, hot tub type of thing. It looks like a fountain next to a giant statue of himself, and he's got 5 ladies in there with him. They're all naked, they're all having a good time, and he's just laid back while ladies are there. And he even says, ah man, this must be paradise. So he's somebody that values beauty, the materialistic things, similar to like what Ares was saying. He is a narcissist and everything, but he just enjoys life, man. I don't know why he's hating. Ares be hating. I actually really liked Apollo in this chapter. Zeus comes over, he starts laughing. He's like, it seems someone is having fun. And Apollo's obviously surprised to see them. And he's also surprised when they tell him that he's going to be going next in Ragnarok. He's like, that shit's still going on. So he hasn't been paying attention to anything. So he's in for a rude awakening. Ares gets even more pissed off. He's like, look at this guy. This is what he's doing while we're in such dire straits, like while we're fighting for our lives over here in Ragnarok, watching our brethren die. He doesn't even know. He's just having a good old time. Apollo just like ignores what he says and like emerges out of the hot spring. He's like, if it isn't Ares, my godly good fellow. So despite Ares not liking Apollo, Apollo seems to like Ares. And he walks out the fountain completely naked, and he goes and like grabs onto Ares. He's like, come on, my friend, we're going into the hot spring. And he's like trying to throw Ares in. Ares is like, I'm not no friend of yours. He's acting all awkward and everything. Apollo's like, come on, you can be honest, you don't hate me. Ares goes to punch Apollo to get him off him. And of course, you know, Ares is the biggest joke in Ragnarok so far. It's the common theme. So of course there was no chance in hell this was going to land on somebody that's going to fight. So he goes to punch him. Apollo sees it clear as day and dodges him and trips Ares into the spring. He really isn't talking shit. He's just still happy-go-lucky. And then he gets in the spring. He's like, well, doesn't it feel great? And then he looks at Zeus. He's like, so what'd you come here for, Gramps? That's when they tell him, of course, he is going to be going next. And like I said, he is surprised to find out that they're even still fighting. He's surprised to find out that it's tied 4-4. And 3 of the losses were none other than the Greek gods. So Zeus flat out does address the elephant in the room that 3 of their losses are Greek gods. He doesn't really go into much detail about it, but I like the fact that he pinpointed this and he's clearly thinking about it. I think it is all going to tie in later. There's a couple theory videos on my page talking about the Norse versus the Greek and everything like that. So that could still be at play, especially if somebody like Apollo loses in this round for sure. So keep an eye on that. It's revealed that Poseidon, Hercules, and Hades died. Apollo's girls are like terrified. They're like freaked out. They're disgusted. And Apollo's like, Poseidon, Justice Boy, and Big Brother Hades. Unbelievable. That's such a shame. They must have looked so beautiful as they died. It's such a shame that I wasn't there to see it, which is kind of odd and unsettling because like, damn, does he even care that they died, or is he just like mad he didn't get to see it? And like, you even get to see this reaction of Hermes and Zeus. They're like, what the fuck? They're like that's such a weird thing to say. And Ares, of course, he's the one that speaks. He's like, you don't feel an ounce of sorrow for them? You're just mad you didn't get to see it? Apollo just stays calm, cool, collected. He's like, they all gave their souls to fight, didn't they? If so, what is there to be sorrowful for? Isn't that just supremely beautiful? So he wasn't really hating on them. He was just like, it's a beautiful concept. They gave their life to fight, and it was probably a beautiful sight. Zeus and Hermes kind of just chuckle at this. It just kind of just shows the charisma of Apollo, where he can basically say anything and it'll sound decent. And he looks back at his ladies while naked in the fountain. He's like, all right, ladies, who wants to see me fight gloriously as the absolute brightest, with a smile. So he's got no shortage of confidence. He's feeling great. His girls, when he says this, are just like, we do. They are obviously all in love with him and everything. He's a ladies' man. Kind of similar to Raiden, but different. Apollo's like, now, ladies, as the god of the sun, I must heed these great cheers. And he stands and poses just like the statue behind him. This man is a beast. He's just a straight up alpha dog. He reminds me of like Goku Black. He's like a pompous guy, but I love Goku Black. He's actually one of my favorite characters in Dragon Ball. So I'm gonna like Apollo a lot. All you see is Ares like looking at Apollo, and he's just like cringed out, and he's awkward as hell. He's like, at least cover up before you go. I don't really think he really truly hates him. I think like it's just brotherly love between the two. And now we cut to Hilda and Gold going to find the human fighter, which we know of course is going to be Leonidas. Gold is talking about the humans are putting up a pretty good fight. It's 4-4, right? He's trying to stay positive, optimistic, and Hilda just shuts that shit down right away. She's like, nah, like we didn't come here to have a good fight. We came here to win. Such words are not even worth speaking. If they do not win, it's all for nothing. That is the very essence of Ragnarok. And she cuts off Gold before she can even speak again. She's like, and for that reason, I've chosen this man to be our next fighter. This man, of course, being King Leonidas. And we see his door with 2 Spartans guarding it, his waiting room. And it's different from all the other waiting rooms we've seen. So even the teased ones that haven't got their fighters revealed, some people thought that there was a room with chains on that was going to be Leonidas. It was not his room. He has his own separate room. It's like this stone wall with a symbol in the middle with a circle around it. It's completely different. So the other ones, still unconfirmed who they are. And Hilda actually has a statement here that's very interesting, which is going to be really something to watch for when the official translations come out, because she says, yes, this is the man who is known as the mightiest rebel in human history. Now, I've also seen some people saying that this says the mightiest king, and it kind of coincides with what Heimdall says later, because Heimdall calls him the mightiest king later. So if this says mightiest king, that would kind of be like, well, shit, is that just saying he's stronger than Shin, right? But I mean, you always take these statements with a grain of salt anyway, because they hype up every single character in the show. Everybody has a strongest statement in this show. Nonetheless, though, it is something interesting to watch. 2 Spartan guards did dwarf Hilda and go inside, and then they just open the doors for them. They walk in, they see all these Spartans training, squatting, and relentlessly just putting in work. And Hilda explains that the men of Sparta, even in death, they continue training. That is the way of the Spartan. And all the Spartans, they're dressed in their normal Spartan garb, right? But the main man, the top dog, the king, Leonidas, is just chilling with a cigar, glasses, a hammock, and like an island Hawaiian shirt. Got a modern haircut and shit. He's just like, I do my own thing, bro. And what's basically floating around in the discussions I'm seeing is that people have a theory that he has just been trying to keep up with the modern times of war, because later when we see him enter the arena, he does enter with his Spartan garb, like his helmet and everything, his cape and shit, but he ends up taking both off and deciding to just fight in combat pants, combat shirt with his man bun and his shield. So it seems like he has kind of rejected the old Spartan ways, and now he's gonna fight like the most modernized warfare possible, because we see that he's an avid reader. So it seems he's been keeping up with all the wars throughout history and adding them to his arsenal and knowledge. That being said, he does look like a U.S. soldier. I said this in my video where I was just talking about the reveal. He looks kind of like the stereotypical U.S. soldiers they show. Almost kind of looks like Stridham in Baki. But nonetheless, I'm actually growing on the design. I like it, and I really like his dialogue in the chapter. If you're enjoying this video and love the Record of Ragnarok content, make sure you hit that subscribe button, cover all of it, and it really helps the channel. I appreciate it. Gold's surprised that this is him, the famous king, and Hilda is like so confident he's gonna be mankind's next representative, and she's like, hey, you're gonna be going next, bro. Leonidas is like, nah, I'll pass. I either go first or I go last. So it's like the author definitely had his finger on what the fans were saying. Everybody's theories that Leonidas was probably gonna be last, and it seems like he's directly referencing it here, where it's like Leonidas, we all thought was going to be the final fighter, potentially taking on Odin. He even himself sees himself as either the first or the last fighter. Pretty cool. in terms that Leonidas probably thinks that he's the strongest human on the roster. It also might be the first time we've seen one of the humans deny Hilda's request to go out there. We obviously saw Locke deny as a Valkyrie, but that was for Jack the Ripper and everything, and it wasn't like the human fighter itself. Hilda's way of convincing him to go fight is by showing him a picture of Apollo and being like, look, that's such a shame because you're the only man throughout all human history, throughout all 7 million years of it, that I think can beat this guy. And she shows him Apollo. So that's another hype statement for Leonidas. Is that true? Does she really think he's the only human? Now that could also be matchup based, but it also seems like she's just being manipulative here to try to get him to go fight, keeping control of the situation. She has a little smirk on her face as she says this. She obviously knows and had this matchup in mind from the beginning, probably similar to Jack and Hercules. And she does a takeaway here where she actually turns away from Leonidas as she says this and just says, oh, my apologies. Guess we'll go find somebody else. And she starts walking away. Leonidas' eyes spring open when she says, he's like, hold it. Did you say Apollo, the god of the sun? And Hilda just looks back, she smiles, and she's like, yup, exactly him. Leonidas gets up at that point, and he's like, he's sure got a real punchable face, that little shithead. They worshipped him in Delphi. Sounds good, I'm in. He agrees to fight because of the opponent. So Hilda obviously knew this was probably gonna happen. And Gold's like, did you just call a god a shithead? And he's like, takes his cigar out, he's like, look here, little girl. There's 3 things that I like in this world. A good book to read on my hammock, some wine with a side of Spartan cheese, and punching some shitty, uppity god right in their smug teeth. He hates the gods. And as he said all this, his calm demeanor completely flips. He goes into demon mode. Like I said, he breaks his own glasses. His hair springs out wildly. His veins start pulsing. He rips off his shirt, and he's like, you got a deal in the name of Sparta. I'll kill that god. Then after this, it just cuts right to the battle. No hesitation, and I really love this arena. It's simple, but it looks like the Coliseum, the gladiator arena. It's just got a circle, giant wall is up. There's no place to run or anything. So it looks really cool. I like this arena. It's real simple, but I like it. See the crowd going crazy. Heimdall starts doing his usual hype. And he says, where did the mightiest people in human history come from? No other place than Sparta. No matter who you ask, that can be the only answer. These men devoted their lives to endless training. They were born for battle and died for battle. But what was their aim? Triumph or glory? No, no, no. Their goal was simple. Never give up, never surrender. That is written in the blood of every single Spartan. We get to see a little tease of Leonidas' backstory, I'm assuming. Obviously, they're going to cover this. The most famous battle the Spartans have, the Battle of Thermopylae, where the 300 take on, in this case, 1,000,000 Persians. And I hope we get to see a Xerxes design because I think that'd be interesting and cool. He's obviously the leader of the Persians. As I said, as Leonidas was walking out, he had on his Spartan helmet and his cape and everything. But when he emerges from the tunnel, he discards both things and walks out like a combat vet. Now, here's where Heimdall says, the mightiest king from the mightiest people. So that kind of coincides with that other statement from Hilda. We'll have to see how it all shakes out in the officials. But I'm buying into him being the strongest king because we honestly, obviously all thought he was going to be the final boss for the humans anyway. So I believe he is going to be strong as shit. Zeus gave Apollo some hype being strong as shit. So we'll have to see. I'm really excited for this fight. He's got like a Captain America type shield. This guy honestly really reminds me of the Winter Soldier. That's kind of how he's outfitted. Besides the mask, he's got man bun, he's got the damn shield, looks like a vibranium shield. I don't know what it's made of, but that's probably his Volund. We don't get to see him Volund this chapter though, so we're gonna probably see that next chapter. But it does seem like he already Volunded prior to coming to the arena, because he goes to attack Apollo with the shield right away. He just looks cool, taking out his cigars, smoke all around. And now the smoke is actually very interesting. It seems the smoke is gonna be tied to his ability in my estimation, and we'll get into why in a second as we continue on. But then Heimdall goes to introduce Apollo, his opponent. It's like facing off against the mightiest king. He's him. Literally, that's what it says. Like, it's him. Apollo comes out in this extravagant outfit, looking like a beast playing up to the crowd. He's obviously one of the most popular gods in the damn verse. They all love him for his beauty and his strength. They call him Phobos Apollo, the dazzling light. It's finally his turn. The crowd loves this man. And Heimdall's like, is it because of his silver bow and arrow? So confirmation he is a bow and arrow user in this verse. So he's an archer still. That's why we thought he was going to fight Simo and everything. Or is it because of his enchanting melodies, which he brought forth on the lyre? No, no, no. It's simply because of his overwhelming strength and beauty. And like I said, he comes out in this extravagant outfit, flanked by all his ladies cheering for him and everything. So he looks really awesome. And he doesn't have his bow and arrow right now in the beginning of this fight. So I don't know where it is. I don't know if he's going to just pull it out of somewhere. I don't know what the hell is going to happen. But he doesn't have his bow and arrow here. So he might fight in a different type of way, which I think could be interesting. But I like that they made mention that he definitely has the bow and arrow. But I think he's got one of the best designs in the whole series. His hair looks fucking awesome when he lets it out. It's got like all these long strands that just come super long down his back and everything. You see in the crowd, it's a dichotomy where it's like all the ladies love Apollo, and then it cuts to a shot of Leonidas, and it's like all the rugged type guys from the human side are all cheering for Leonidas. So it's like the ladies love Apollo, the men love Leonidas. You get an awesome stare down shot that they usually do for these rounds. And right as Heimdall's like, fight, before he can even finish saying the word fight, like Leonidas has already attacked. No words, he just already like ran over and threw his shield down at Apollo. And it's crazy because he jumps up like a monster. He's like, ah, and he just goes down and slams down. But as he does this, he like blows out all this smoke because he still has the cigar in his mouth at this point. And Apollo sees this, and I think he's gonna have some kind of I don't know, I just got a hunch that he might have some kind of upgraded version of Future Sight based on how they showed him dodging Ares and how he dodges here, because he sees this attack coming and you see a close-up of his face and it's like all these lines come out and he dodges it. And Leonidas put like full power in the strike, like he meant to kill him right away. And then all this smoke is around where Leonidas landed. Goes like, shit, was that a false start or something? Hilda's like, nah, he simply attacked right when it was time to go. What's wrong with that? And Apollo is just discarding this man, similar to kind of how Poseidon was, but not the same, not the same. It's similar, but not the same. He's like, sigh, how unsightly, and he's just like flinging his hair, like acting like that was no big deal to dodge him. A cowardly brute force attack. You can't even hold yourself still waiting for introductions. How animalistic and very like you humans. You dare show me such insolence, irreverence, discourtesy, and arrogance? You're gonna pay for that. At this time, we see Leonidas is like bringing the smoke back into his mouth, and it's like loading up his cheeks like that. Then he like lets it all come out through his nose, and there's just like a smoke cloud that forms around Leonidas. It's really actually awesome. Like the panels look sick. And when he lets all the smoke out, he finally speaks and he says, same as ever. I see you, little shitty sun god. And Apollo's surprised. He's like, same as ever? You know me? But shitty? Such an uncomely word. You don't mean to call me that, do you? Though if you do, you're courting divine judgment. My boy is cold. I really like Apollo. I really like Leonidas though, so I'm kind of 50-50 on who I want to win fight. Leonidas says, I can't stand you, not then and not now. Look here, I hate you more than anyone else in the entire world, shithead. And then that's the final panel of the chapter. So Leonidas has beef with Apollo. The theory going around now that it's going to tie into the lore of Apollo predicting Leonidas' death at Thermopylae. He says something like the great king will fall and it will be beautiful, because we kind of seen that he already likes the beauty of death. That's likely, and we're probably going to get all that lore in the backstories and everything. But yeah, like I said, love both characters. I was a little apprehensive on Leonidas' design at first. I want him to look like a Spartan, but I'm growing on it. I'm liking it. He's that grizzled, rugged war veteran, that older statesman kind of guy, elder statesman kind of guy, while Apollo's that young, vibrant, narcissistic kind of punk. But I'm loving Apollo because he's actually quite nice. He's just confident, and people seem to be hating on him. He seems like he's not really that bad. Now, maybe we'll see what he's done in his past, but, he looks cool. I'm actually kind of rooting for Apollo, I'm not going to lie, although I think it's unlikely he wins. I think the Norse takeover is coming, so I think Zeus is going to be left all alone. But he's already lost 3. It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility that Apollo is also still there. What do you guys think, though? Who do you think is going to win this fight? Do you like the designs? Did you like this chapter? It was a long chapter, but I think it was a great chapter. Let me know in the comments below. And, of course, for all Record of Ragnarok content, I'm going to be covering it here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
She don't do it with no hands, she a master. If they question how I get it, I got answers. Like, well, she got me tripping like